You're listening to Entrepreneur's Enigma, a podcast about the ups and downs of the entrepreneurial journey. Every week, your host Seth Goldstein interviews entrepreneurs from all walks of life about their entrepreneurial journeys. From store owners to Fortune 500 CEOs, we all have stories to tell. So sit back and join us for the next 20 or so minutes while we explore the entrepreneurial world.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneur's Enigma podcast. I am here with Joshua Bernstein. Thank you for having an easy name to pronounce because the past few podcasts have had some really hard ones. So Joshua Bernstein is pretty easy to say. Of course, if you say it too fast, no one can understand it. Anyhow, Joshua is a former VC, a McKinsey Consultant, and a founder with a Wharton MBA. We were just kibitzing about how authentic and weird Philadelphia is in the best kind of way. He combines business and brainwaves, which is kind of cool. Kind of different from the other consultants out there. And he shares how anyone can leverage neuroscience to enhance the way they live, love, work, and play. He is the creator of the Sync protocol, the world's first thought-based protocol to create instant trust and connection. And he lives everywhere. I mean, all over the place. I mean, I think you've hit almost every continent except for Antarctica. Let's see, he's lived in the United States, obviously, Europe, Asia, Central America, and South America, and bringing a global perspective to unlock human potential. Have you hit Africa yet?
I haven't lived there.
But you've been there.
Been there, yeah.
So you've
Antarctica
been on every
is the big missing
continent but
one.
Antarctica. That's pretty impressive. Where's your favorite? What's your favorite country? I mean, obviously, you're calling in from Portugal right now. Not to dox you or anything, but like, other than Portugal, what's your favorite place?
I can't name one. In terms of living, though, I have two that really stand out. One was living in Sevilla in the south of Spain.
Ooh,
amazing city, people, culture, food. And the other, which was just very different than what I'd grow up with, was living in Tokyo, which was an incredible experience.
Yeah, and are you tall? Because I mean, that would make you stand out because they're all short there.
5'10", so not tall enough, to draw attention.
Well, that's good because I mean, still a white guy in Tokyo, he's still going to draw attention, but still, it's all that good stuff. So, all right, so fill me in. How do you bring business and brainwaves in the Sync protocol? Let's do the high level approach. What is the Sync protocol?
Sure. So I'll take an even higher level for a moment. But, have you ever had the experience where you met someone and you just clicked?
Oh, yeah. Right. I think we click pretty well right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And how does that feel for you?
Feels good. It feels like I know this guy. This guy's a good guy. That kind of thing. I like that.
Yeah. What all of the work I do is based on is that fundamental experience. So we've all had that experience of clicking with someone, of getting in sync, of being on the same wavelength, right?
Yeah.
And the experience is pretty universal. It feels great, right? We tend to trust the person. We want to spend time with them, and that can be in a business setting. It can be in a personal setting.
Yeah.
But the big challenge that we've all had is that it's kind of been a random process, right? You never know when you're going to have that kind of experience. And it's so random that you can probably think back on your life and really remember probably 3, 4, 5 of those experiences that you just had it. But what I set out to do, this is going back about 25 years ago, was to
not
figure
to date
out
yourself or anything.
Yeah, not at all.
Back when you weren't gray-haired, right?
Yeah, exactly. Back when I was a toddler.
Huh.
He
came up with this when he was 2.
Prodigy.
Yeah.
But the question I had was, is there a way that we can actually learn to do this on demand? Can we make it a conscious skill? Right? And for me, this wasn't just an intellectual discovery. Like, I felt really disconnected with people. So there were a lot of times that I just felt lonely or disconnected, and I wasn't able to establish those connections. So kind of that drove me on this path to kind of asking the question, is there a way to create it, right? Rather than waiting around and hoping for it.
Like an on switch.
Yeah, like an on switch, exactly.
Ooh, that's cool.
So that led me down a path of studying kind of anything and everything I could get my hands on. Initially, I was thinking more kind of as a purpose or tactics. So I studied persuasion, I studied influence, those kinds of things.
Have you read Chris Voss's book?
I have, yeah.
Oh, I read that twice. It's such a good book.
Very good book, and I love the way he speaks and presents his information.
He writes it really well too. I have to say, for an FBI negotiator, I mean, he had a co-writer, but full disclosure there. But he tells good stories, which is kind of key. So
absolutely, and everyone's intrigued by those stories that come out of the FBI and those kinds of things.
So persuasion.
So I started along that path, because that had some of the elements of connection to it, and of course rapport and things like that.
Absolutely.
But then we touched a little bit earlier, kind of before hopping on here, about how I had spent some time living in Japan and living in Tokyo. Where it really clicked in for me is I was a language teacher in Tokyo. As a lot of people that moved over there back in that era, language teaching was a big opportunity if you came from the United States. And what was interesting is
You're from Boston, though. They wanted someone to teach them how to speak Boston English.
That was not part of the requirements.
That wasn't part of the requirements, no, but still, I mean, like Boston. But you don't have a Boston accent, or you've done a good job of hiding it. So.
Yeah, I never had it, and that's a thing. Being from Philly, where accents can run strong, right? Certain family members get it, and others don't, and you have no idea why.
Oh, I got it. My stepfather's really thick from northwest Philadelphia. Oh, bad. Good, but anyhow. So you're in Tokyo now.
Yeah, so I'm in Tokyo, and what was interesting, and at the time I taught both English and Spanish, but on the English student side, they had typically 8 years of grammar in school. So they knew all of the rules of grammar probably better than you and me, right?
Sounds like a Japanese kind of thing to do. 8 years of, can you imagine?
8 years of grammar. But then you would get them in the room to speak, and they were terrified on the whole. Most of my students could not really speak the language. They were just afraid to do it.
Really?
And what I noticed in that process was that when I was able to create trust with them, it was like a switch went off. And suddenly, overnight, they started speaking well.
Oh, speaking well, not just speaking, but speaking
Not just speaking, but speaking well. It was almost like all of that grammar was in there, and suddenly once the trust came along, the switch went on, and suddenly they're talking.
So they weren't wasting 8 years of their lives doing grammar.
No, they were just packing it in there.
But then they had to feel comfortable. Oh, I love that, because that's kind of cool, because you have to feel comfortable. And now, like, if I make a mistake, Joshua's not going to judge me. And then they go, and it's like, you're speaking better than I do. I'm from Boston.
And it was interesting, because once that trust kicked in and that switch went off, I realized, there's a lot more to this, because it was literally an overnight experience. So that was the time at which I started looking now about trust, and what's the role that trust can play in these connections. And it led me down this path of kind of studying it, learning about it. And at that point in time, some people started researching what we now call interpersonal synchrony. And what that means in layman's terms, right?
Yeah, that's not a corporate term at all.
Yeah, like sync. It means when our brains and our bodies move in unison. So now, when we express in our language, hey, we clicked, or we're on the same wavelength, that was our way of trying to explain what we now know is really happening behind the scenes. So if you were to put on, and I were to put on, let's say, some speaker or headphones that can measure our brainwave activity, we could actually see nowadays when we get in sync and when we don't. And that pattern's really cool, and we can do it in many different parts of the body. It can be with our eye contact, it can be with our breathing, our heart rate.
Oh, wow.
And once that research started kicking online, that's where kind of my interest and my ability to understand what was going on really kicked into high gear.
That's awesome.
And the third
were you
component.
Still in Tokyo at this time, or where in the world was
No,
Joshua
at this, it all kind of flows together. But I had moved back from Tokyo at that point in time. Okay. So at this point in time, this would be kind of late '90s, early 2000s. So I was back in Boston at the time.
Seems about right when the Persuasion and all these books were coming out, and
tremendous number of those.
Yeah, some of them were highfalutin and full of baloney. Yeah.
There's a lot of that, unfortunately, in that space. But what was great about being in Boston at the time is you had these great research institutions.
Yeah.
So I just started picking up the phone and emailing, getting in touch with people at Harvard, at MIT, at their media lab, and just going to meet with some of the early researchers that were doing work in this space of this synchrony. Just to try
You
to
just call them up and say, "Hi, I'm Josh. I'm interested. Do you want to talk? Can I talk to you about that?" And they would.
Yeah,
I guess everyone likes to talk about themselves, and that can make sense. I guess.
yeah, they were always happy to talk about their own research.
Yeah.
And, I was bringing a somewhat unique perspective because at that point in time, I'd already kind of figured out how to make it happen between people.
Oh, so you're doing their voodoo on them. I see.
Yeah, so I was really proposing to them to do a research protocol because, at that point in time, I had figured out how to create the sync with another person, but I wanted to understand how it works.
You want to know, why is this working?
Exactly.
I'm doing this thing, but I don't know why the hell it's working. Can we please explore why this is working and how I can replicate it?
100%. And what I'll tell you, it was very interesting and challenging. What was interesting is it piqued their curiosity, but because it was, let's say, invisible, they were actually scared to do research around it. At that point in time, if you take ourselves back to the early 2000s, inside of academia, anything that was touching the mind and invisibility, they put into the category of this psychic phenomena.
Oh, right.
And they would not touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
But what they did do is they kind of told me how their research was playing out, and it kind of fed ideas for me to think, how can I position this in a way that's acceptable to mainstream academic research, and how should we talk about it and things like that.
Oh, that's so cool.
And so that's kind of, it started to evolve from there. And then in the kind of mid 2000s, 2015, 2016, a switch flipped in academia, and suddenly everyone started studying this stuff. So now there's...
You're right, around 2015, you're right. Everything was kind of like less like whoa, and more like, all right, cool.
So now there's, if you go, for example, to PubMed, which is this great database of research products by National Institutes of Health, there are like 16,500 studies that cite synchrony now.
Oh, wow. So now you're the in kid.
Right.
You're not the
it's come
outcast
around.
anymore. Who is this guy, Josh, who's like talking about this weird stuff? No, now it's like Josh knows the stuff.
Yeah, now it's like the thing to look at. And what's happening is, you've got headphones on, I've got these earphones. Right now, all of the wearables that we have are getting the ability to measure brainwaves.
It's really weird, very cool, and very scary all at the same time.
We're going to take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and get right back to the show.
All at the same time, all rolled into one. What from my perspective, I think what's really cool about it is now people can actually start to see in real time what we're talking about, this sync. Right,
Yeah,
so a
you
year from now,
see
we
the
could be
move.
sitting here, right, and we could literally have on our monitor showing when we match up our brain waves and when they don't. Like, we'll have that visual piece of it.
And humans are naturally visual beings.
Totally.
So seeing where the brainwaves match up is awesome. Yeah.
It's cool, and the ultimate thing is, so why does this matter? Going back to the start of the conversation, it feels really good to get in sync. When we're in sync, we trust each other. We want to spend more time together. We want to do business together. We want to date, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And so I'm on this mission now to teach as many people as possible how to do this.
Oh, wow.
Because to me, it's the biggest skill for the 21st century. Because imagine in a world where AI starts to take over a lot of the data work that we're used to doing.
Yeah.
The question is, how do we become more human? Right?
Oh, I love that, because it really is true, because like people are so into the data doing that stuff. We don't have to do that anymore. No, now what? What are we? Who are we? We're going through an identity crisis almost.
Totally. And if we can, free up some time because the AI is helping to do some of the busy work, I think ultimately what people want is more human connection. They want to feel closer to people. They want to get to know people better. They want to like as we were talking about Philly being a very authentic city, I think people want to show up more and more just as their true selves and connect in that way.
That's awesome. So you've been a VC, you've been a McKinsey consultant, and now you're doing the Sync protocol. What's the best thing about being an entrepreneur? Because, I mean, you've done VC, and in McKinsey, you're kind of an entrepreneur a little bit because they kind of are like, be a consultant, we'll take our cut, but you're on your own kind of thing. But if I understand McKinsey correctly, which I don't think anyone does.
Inside of that world, you can certainly carve out opportunities, which I did to act more entrepreneurially. Absolutely.
Yeah. So what in your mind, what's the best thing about being an entrepreneur? Because now you're living abroad, living your best life, teaching this protocol, teaching people how to be more interpersonal and all that stuff. What's the best thing in your mind about being an entrepreneur?
I think it's a few things. Number one, it's bringing something new into the world in the way that you want to do it.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah.
Right. That's to me, the first thing is you have this vision, right, of how you want to make a dent in the universe. Yeah. Right. And there's nothing nowadays that can stop you from doing it. Right. All the technologies at our fingertips. Yeah. Right. There really is no limitation now for you to do
it. Yeah.
Exactly. And if you think about all of the people that are online, you need a very small number of people to get interested and committed to build a business for yourself nowadays. And so that to me is the biggest thing, is the opportunity to take something out of your head and start to help people in the real world with it, right? The other thing is I love technology, and I've been around early stage tech, both as an investor, as an operator, as a founder. And so I love to see, as an entrepreneur, how can you take the new technologies other people are developing and start to leverage those or embed those. So when we take AI, for example, I mean, it's so fascinating that today for $20 a month, right, you can integrate something into your business that gives you superpowers.
It's insane. I had AI, had Claude write me literally a plugin to turn basic image formats into WebP format for me. Yeah, I could have gone on WordPress and found a plugin to do it for me. I'm like, let me see if AI can do this for me. All right, it was not a one-shotter. It was like, I think, a 38, 39, 40-shotter. Of like times getting it to get it correct. Fine, I'm not going off to like do this, get it done that fast. But an hour later, it produced a plugin. And I'm watching it type the code. I'm kind of getting the code. I can read the code a little bit because it's all PHP and stuff. I can see what it's doing, but I could not have written this. And I'm looking there, and I'm like, I just created a plugin for something that I wanted in an hour. I mean, granted, every once in a while, I'm on version 6 now because I keep on finding bugs in it, but and it's always like, oh, I'm sorry, let's fix it this way. It's like, who are you, AI? It's insane.
But you just hit on what's probably most exciting about being an entrepreneur, right? You have a problem, you have something you want to build, and you just go do it.
Why
right?
not? You don't have to ask for permission. So on the flip side, what keeps you up at night as an entrepreneur?
What always keeps you up at night, in my case, what keeps me up at night is new ideas that pop into my head in the middle of the night.
Nonstop. Yeah.
Right? And you have this one thing, on the one hand, I don't want to sleep with the phone in my room. And on the other hand, I don't know how many times I can walk out of the room to open up my notes file at 3 a.m. and type what just downloaded,
dude.
Right?
It's called paper. You can put paper. Remember this thing called paper? It's made out of dead trees. That's awesome.
I used to use
that does keep you up at night. It keeps me up at night all the time. And if I fall asleep, I will not remember that tomorrow. And I like writing them down and then realizing how in the morning how like nuts that thought was, but how like clearer it was that night before though.
And you hit on it too. If you don't write it down at that moment, you are not going to remember it. Yeah.
I don't care how good a memory you have, because you're not cognizant when you wake up with an idea. You're dreary-eyed. Your brain's not fully awake. Write that sucker down, even if it's the dumbest thing ever tomorrow morning. Hey, you'll get a good laugh.
And I'll tell you what you just mentioned and what we're talking about here about if you don't do it in the moment and these things come to you in the middle of the night, that's actually the same principle upon which I teach people to create this synchrony.
Wow. Unintentional, full circle.
It's completely linked because, right now we're in our waking brain state, right? Yeah. And they call it beta, right? It's just, that's what we're in during our waking brain state. But it's only when you get out of beta and you start relaxing the brain that you open up access to other things. You just mentioned access to ideas, right?
Yeah.
That same access allows you to connect with people. Same exact principle.
Oh, that's cool. That's neat. Oh, wow. Well, I'm going to be thinking about this interview all afternoon now. Thank you, buddy.
No, I mean, there's so much to dive into
on this, exactly.
But as your question about entrepreneurship, I'm curious. What do you like the most about entrepreneurship?
It's the same thing. I can do what I want when I want. I love it. I love just doing. I mean, I have a kid, so I can't wake up when I want. Like some entrepreneurs are, I can wake up whenever I want. No, I'm up at 5:30 because my kid has to be at school at 7:30 in the morning. But I mean, I'm sure you've been through that. You're like,
I'm in it too. Yeah, right in the thick of it.
Oh, you're in the thick of it too. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. Exactly. But here's the question for you: what is the most important thing to carry with you all the time, besides your notes app?
Now, do you mean physically to carry
can go
with
as
me?
woo-woo as you want to go with this one.
Yeah, I would say a playful attitude.
Oh, I like that. No one's actually said playful attitude. They said like a positive attitude, but playful. Elaborate it down a little bit more.
Yeah, I choose playful because in this, I'll take it maybe out into the little bit more spiritual space. The thing is, I believe we are all connected and we all come from the same fabric. And what I mean by that is we have, and that's primarily the work I focus on, like my assumption is you and I are basically already connected, but we've got some filters in front of us that makes us feel separate.
And biases and all that.
And by all of that stuff. So if we can hold this playful attitude and maybe just pretend that we're connected and that these things separating us don't really separate us, I found it makes it easier to actually have real, deep, meaningful connections with people. So when people are playful and they bring that attitude to it, they're open to trying things that they haven't tried before. It also gets rid of this need to do it right, which I think that a lot of entrepreneurs get blocked or frozen by inactivity because they feel like I got to wait till it's perfect.
Oh, you don't. Right?
And
perfect is perfect is the enemy of done, or I may have made that one up. I may have made that one up.
Those lines.
So perfect. You know what? Nothing's ever going to be perfect. That's what I tell my clients at Podcast Mastery. Just put the podcast out there. Put it out to the world and iterate. It's all about reps. It's all about
100%.
Building up your strength in the process. Building out your brain waves. Is to go back to what you're talking about. But like the first podcast episode you do is going to suck. It's going to suck. Be fine with that. Put it out there. My first podcast, I've been podcasting for 15 years. My first podcast of Digital Marketing Dive, the other podcast I do monthly, we did in a room that was so echoey that, oh my God, it was unbearable. But the conversation was so good, I'm like, hell with it. Just put it out there. I put a bumper at the very beginning saying, sorry, we did this in the wrong kind of room. If you can bear with us, there's some good gems in here. If not, here's a transcript to read through it. Next one we'll have a better room. But look, you just put it out there, and you learn not to use that room again.
100%. And you know what's interesting I've found is for a while things were moving to the point where everyone felt all the content had to be super polished. And now NPR. People have gone away from that and they just want authentic conversation and information, right?
You know, and I always tell people, when I coach people, I'm always like, this is not effing NPR. We're not Terry Gross. We don't have a $1 million, $3 million budget here. A lot of us don't even have a budget. We're lucky if we have a microphone and headphones. Just have fun with it. Some of the best podcasts I listen to, they have headphones and they have a microphone, and they just have a good conversation, and they're fun.
That's the thing. When people feel like they can just be themselves, right? Which is the hard role of hosting a podcast, right? That's the real skill.
I was a professional journalist for 6 years, so I went to school for journalism. So I have the cheat code to it, but like most people are like, I'm like, you just gotta loosen up, stretch beforehand, you know, and just go with it.
I 100% agree with that, and so that's I like to see the movement in that direction too, because now, whatever medium you're broadcasting, it's audio, video, as long as two people sit down and have an interesting, authentic conversation, the other people who find out about it are probably going to find some stuff of interest. And they'll probably relate to it more than they would to some beautifully polished, piece of content.
I mean, there's a show called Click Here. It's a cybersecurity podcast by Dina Temple Raston. Have you heard of her?
I have not.
But guess where she's from? Public radio. So it's polished, but she's telling a story of cybersecurity hackers and stuff like that. And I feel like there's a genre for that.
Absolutely.
It's nonfiction, but it's storytelling. Where then there's the Talking Head podcast we're on right now. We're just chatting. We're two people talking literally from the upper torso up. Like I had to ask you at the very beginning, how tall are you? Because literally I can tell. I assumed you were 5'10"-ish, general build of a, American male. But, you don't know that. So it's like, but that's fine for this kind of genre of a podcast. So I always have fun with that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
So people can find you, Joshua, at thesyncadvantage.com. And I do see you're active on LinkedIn. That's like your choice. That's your social media of choice.
Yeah, I tend to use LinkedIn more than others. I'm in the process now of building out, more websites and things like that. But right now, it's really through that and X as well.
Yeah, I've gotten off of X. I just can't bring myself to use it anymore. I used to. I'm on the Fediverse right now with like Mastodon and all that stuff. It's just you should check that out. That's actually a pretty cool place for cerebral discussions are happening over there as well.
Yeah, I haven't used that one yet.
Oh, one day you're plenty busy where you're at right now.
Yeah, and
LinkedIn alone has really come into its own right now. With like they've loosened up a little bit. It's not as stuffy. And I feel like there's good conversations going on over there. So
100%, and it's branched out. It's still, of course, business focused, but in my experience as of late, and this is maybe over the last year, there's a tremendous number of business people that are doing what I would call the inner work. Right? They've gotten into meditation or other things to start to explore things outside of work. Yeah. And I find because of that growing interest, LinkedIn's actually a great place now to talk about things that combine those topics. So as we mentioned at the top, so where I'm focused on business and brainwaves, it's now a really great place to have those kind of discussions because it fits in with kind of where people are. Everyone's trying to get, calmer. They're doing meditation, or maybe they've taken up other practices of breath work and things like that. Mm-hmm. So it's turned out to be a really good medium for these kinds of conversations.
That's awesome. So Joshua, thank you so much for being on. This has been so much fun. And I'm gonna go check out the website again. I looked at it earlier, but I'm gonna go dig into it more now. This stuff's fascinating to me.
Yeah, no, this is great. Thank you for having me, first of all. I hope this is the first of many interesting conversations, and really appreciate it.
This is fun. You did your voodoo. No, I love it, man. I'm fascinated by the brain. I love how much. It's kind of scary how little we know about the brain. Still, we know more about space sometimes than we know about our own brain, let alone the bottom of the ocean. Like all that stuff we know. But our brains are supercomputers that we don't know how the hell half of them work.
Absolutely. You know what I'm thinking? Before we jump, if you got 2 minutes, let me lead you through a quick exercise just to give you a taste of some of this stuff. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Awesome. So what I'm going to have you do in a moment is I'm going to have you close your eyes.
Okay.
And now take a deep breath in. Now, remember a time that you were feeling extremely confident.
Okay.
See what you were seeing, hear what you were hearing, and feel how amazing you were feeling.
Okay.
Now, you'll probably notice somewhere in front of you, there's an image of that experience in front of you. Just reach out with your actual finger and touch it.
Okay.
Great. Now, with the other hand, pinch the sides as if you're holding a photograph with your two fingers. Yeah, pinch that there.
I'm not looking. I'm guessing where my hands are. I'm like,
that's good. Yep, that's good. Just see the image of that experience.
Yeah, call a picture. Yeah.
Yeah,
very
and
cool.
now spread your hands wider apart, wider. Make them as big as a movie screen.
Yeah.
And notice how that makes you feel.
Ooh. tingles. I like that.
Yeah. Now, when you're ready, open your eyes. And what I just shared with you is, what we're talking about here is technology that's built into us.
Isn't that
So
cool? That's
what you just did, you might not know, but what you just did is just like doing pinch to zoom on your phone.
Oh, that's so cool. But I use my brain as my phone. That's cool.
Yeah, all of the technology we use to communicate is modeled after us.
Makes sense. I mean, yeah, some of it for better or for worse. I mean, the schoolmorphic stuff of Apple, we've got a little too schoolmorphic, too physical world-ish on the screen. But yeah, I get that. It's pretty cool.
So that's just a tiny little taste of, there's all these technologies inside of us. And that's where I focus my time is like learning about the technologies we've already got inside of us.
Yeah.
And then how can we use this just to kind of improve what we do each day, have a better life.
Oh, I love it. Now, so for those who are listening and watching, go to YouTube and watch what just happened because that was really cool. So, and Josh, thank you for coming on, and we'll see everyone next week.
Excellent. Thank you.
That was a great show. If you're enjoying Entrepreneur's Enigma, please consider giving us a review in the podcast directory of your choice. Every review helps us reach new listeners. If you like Entrepreneur's Enigma, consider the other shows on the Marketing Podcast Network at marketingpodcast.net.